You find a room in your house that shouldn't exist. What would you do? Hi, I'm here with 3 more urban legends for your consideration. Send your best scary stories to the email below. And if we use yours, we'll give you full credit and all the cookies in our first It's late at night and I'm lying in bed trying to sleep, but my girlfriend is snoring like an angry bear. I decided to get up and go downstairs to watch some TV. I was living in this old Victorian house with my girlfriend and her son, and the house had creaky floorboards and weird drafts, so it wasn't the best place to live if you were a light sleeper. But this particular night, I was wide awake, so I figured why not go watch some TV downstairs. And then I noticed something strange. There was this one floorboard that always creaked whenever I stepped on it, but now it didn't squeak at all. And I knew exactly where the sound was coming from because this house was built in 1892, and it had been renovated in the early 70s. The renovations weren't very good. In fact, they were kind of a hodgepodge of styles. And when they added that floor onto the house, they must have missed a stud or something because that floorboard always creaked, but tonight it was dead silent.
And I walked over to it and pressed down on it, and it didn't make a sound.
So I pushed up my glasses and looked around the room, and I realized I was standing in front of a wall. And when I walked around the room, I couldn't find the door. And when I looked out the window, I saw that I was 15 feet above the ground. And I checked all the other windows in the room, and they were all nailed shut from the outside. And then I started to panic a little bit because what if someone was in there and locked themselves in? And then I thought, no, that's stupid. If someone was in there, they would have said something by now. But then I remembered that her son was staying in his room tonight because he had a big test tomorrow. And her son has a key to the house. He could have easily snuck out and gone into the attic and gotten locked up there. But he never did anything without telling me right. But then I thought, no, that's wrong. He did sneak out once. Once I came home with a flat tire, and I had to get the spare off the wall. And when I went to put it back, I noticed that the tire was missing. I asked him if he took the tire, and he said no. And then I asked him where the lug wrench was, and he said that he didn't know. And then I found the lug wrench in the backyard and the tire in the and he admitted that he took the tire to practice changing it up in the treehouse, but he got scared and then left. And then I heard a voice from behind me say, "Did you find what you were looking for?" And I turned around, and it was my girlfriend. And she had this confused look on her face, and she was holding a flashlight. And I said, "Honey, how long have you been standing there?" "Answer sighed long enough to see that you were acting weird," she said. "What were you doing up here?" And I said, "I thought you were in bed." And she said, "I was until you got up. And then I couldn't get back to sleep." And I asked her, "So you didn't hear anything? Any footsteps or voices?" And she said, "No." And then I lied and said, "Okay." let's go check on Joey just to make sure. And I led her over to the ladder, and I started to climb down. And halfway down, I felt this overwhelming sense of relief, because whatever was up there was no longer a threat, and I thought, no, that's wrong. There was never a threat in the first place. This is a perfectly normal house. There's nothing weird going on here. There's no secret passages or rooms.
And as I climbed down the ladder, I could hear my girlfriend talking to her son, and I could hear them both breathing a sigh of relief.
And then her son said, I'm really sorry about earlier, Mom. I shouldn't have taken the tire without asking. And then my girlfriend said, it's okay, honey. I just want you to be safe. And then they both came over and joined me on the couch. And we watched TV and everything was fine. But still, sometimes when I'm laying in bed at night and I can't sleep, I'll hear the creaking of the floorboard and I'll swear that there is a room in our house that shouldn't exist. And that is the end of part 3. And I've got 2 more parts of scary stories for you. Part 4 and Part 5 are available exclusively on another platform. And if you want to hear those stories, you'll have to go to the website and sign up. And when you do, you'll get all of our content absolutely free. Write a scary story and send it to the email below. If we use your story, we'll give you full credit and all the cookies. And thanks to all our supporters for making these videos possible.